Hello, 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 and welcome to the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast, where you'll absolutely never see it coming. I am your host, John Hawkins, and joined, as always, by the Queen of the Ring and the puncher's best hit. My apologies to little Nikki, but she's the real king of this shit. She reads the cards like a boss and lets them fall where they be. She was an adventurer like you until she took that arrow in her knee. Raja.
Hello.
What up, Raja?
Just nursing me war wound.
Oh, mind me war wound. That's one of my favorite things ever. I love minding
one of the
me.
best things ever.
Oh, absolutely. I love minding me war wound. I'm going to put that on the soundboard. I'm going to
You
get
should.
mind me war wound. I'm going to have
Every
that on
time we
there.
talk about an injury.
I'm going to have the do not seek the treasure. And I'm going to have, what's something else that I do quite a bit?
Oh, Lord. Anything from Monty Python.
Yeah, it's Monty
honestly.
Python, but there was something in particular. See, we got the Miami War Wound. I might get Patrick Starr asking where do you put the quarter and then have the, you know. That's
I think you need you want to play the grand piano.
the grand piano. God, what was I thinking of? Oh, my God. There's a few things I got to get somebody saying daddy. from back in the 70s, like one of the,
Right.
I don't care which wrestler it was, because it was like the Be a Wrestler Starter Pack 1977 edition. That's right, fans. You'll get the tie-dye headband, you'll get puffy paint t-shirt, and you'll get tie-dye tights with trunks to pull over tights and knee pads over tights, and very nicely tied boots, back when the boys knew how to tie your laces. Now look, I'm not going to give any secrets of the ring. I'm not going to sit here like it's goddamn 2020 expose and show you how to cut a blade. It's hard for me to even say it. I'm not gonna do anything like that, because that would be wrong, okay? But let me say one thing. Whoever your teacher was in the sport of professional wrestling, if your teacher didn't teach you how to get rid of those fucking bows when you're tying up your boots, okay? Because there's a trick there, folks. Believe it or not, the pros that you see on TV don't zip it up, all right? They don't have these already tied, and they're just like, oh, hey, let me zip these up. No,
I feel like zippers would be dangerous.
There's
on
a little art for them, and it's really more for your opponent, okay? Because what happens is you boot wash them or whatever, and little ends of your things can hurt them. You know, I mean, it's just a polite thing.
It's a liability.
It's a respect thing. All right, it's kind of like if I don't see you wipe your feet off, and then you got like big old bows out there, like your mama just tied your shoes getting on the bus.
Did the rabbit ears.
And it's funny because as much as I love watching Dark,
Mm-hmm.
we were watching it before we went on air.
Yes.
Okay, we got to go back and watch Dark later because we had to do this.
Yes.
And we'll get to that in a reason why.
Yes.
But we basically missed, and like I said, we'll get to that. But when I'm watching it, I keep like a little tally. Like, that asshole didn't wipe his feet. or
making a list.
and then I'll be like, look at that guy's, look at his boots. Look at his boots.
I know by now.
Yeah, like she points it out.
Like, that guy doesn't have his boots tied correctly.
Yeah, she'll point
like
it out.
I've ever been in a wrestling ring.
Well, you've been in a wrestling ring.
Okay, like I've ever been in a wrestling ring as a professional wrestler.
Well, no,
with wrestling boots
you've been
on.
an athletic supporter, though.
That's my job.
Yes.
That's my day job.
I tell you what, man. There's a lot to unpack. And this is like as much to unpack as you get on the elderly ward when it's like Mr. Johnson's impacting on 3.
Oh no.
Joy. That's where I quit. You know, I don't think I could be a nurse very long.
No.
It takes a special kind of
think
asshole
so.
to be a nurse. Like
Yeah.
it takes a special. That's why they're heroes of mine.
Yeah.
Nurses and teachers at like kindergarten to 7th grade,
Yeah.
elementary, you know, like they're heroes because think about this. They had to make a conscious decision
Yes.
to take care of other people's kids.
Yeah. That's how I feel about daycare work.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, oh goodness, how do you do that?
Why do you do that?
Why do you put yourself through this?
There's not any amount of money in the world.
No, me either. Honestly, as much as I love kids, no thanks.
I love my kids. I don't love your kids. In fact, I hate your kids. I hate all your kids.
Keep your kids away from me.
Nasty little kids picking their nose and all this stuff. I mean,
nurses are heroes to me if they can do all that and they're also nice to you.
Yeah.
Like if they're mean, then why are you even doing it?
Yeah, no, mean nurses scare me.
Yeah.
They really do, because I think they get...
They're going to hurt you on purpose.
Right. No, I've got a problem. I flirt with nurses, but I get that honest. Like, it's like, I remember growing up and my granddaddy was, I mean, he was the real original king of this shit. And he was just so cool because it didn't matter where we were. He would flirt with whatever female was there.
Right.
But he didn't really mean it.
Right. It's just...
It was a natural thing. It was as natural as breathing air.
Oh goodness.
And it was just a thing you did.
Right.
And that's just how I am. Like for a long time I fought it. People are like, "Well, you know what was wrong? You know why she came home that you were flirting." And I'm always just like, "I wasn't flirting. I was not flirting. I was
doing no such thing."
Oh yeah, you actually were. And then I started realizing, you know what? I bet I am flirting.
See, I've been on the other end of that, like back in middle school and stuff, when I would have a conversation with someone and then my friends would be like, "You know they were flirting with you, right?" And I was like, "No, I did not. I did not notice that at all."
Well, you see, it's kind of our characters though. Like, you don't have a bone in your body that makes you, that feels like you're special. Like, you're one of those people that, and you're a gem, right? You're salt of the earth.
Right.
I, on the other hand, firmly believe that I'm living in a movie.
Yeah. That you're the main character.
Yeah, and everybody's a bit player.
Yes.
It's like one of those things. And I think that you have to be like, I don't think you would find many people that went to professional wrestling that didn't feel that way.
Right, yeah. You gotta have to have that in your mind to do something like that.
When you make the conscious decision to wear a banana hammock and go out in front of a bunch of strangers.
Yeah. You got to be a little bit of a narcissist.
You're one of two things, okay? You're one of two things. And in ours, you have to do more athletic stuff. I mean,
yeah, true.
You know.
Yeah.
The other one, you have to worry about things, though.
Yeah.
So they both have their issues, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have an off day. You don't want it to be a cold room. Yeah. Is that kind of stuff. At least you don't have to worry about that in wrestling. In fact, you want it to be a cold room in wrestling because that can also kill you. The first time you go out there and it's like a stiff wind, so to speak, it's like that's the only thing that people notice. I remember
when you're Ballerin.
Dude, I remember the ECW crowd.
Uh-huh.
No, Balor's just blessed. Finn Balor, # blessed. He's one of those cats. Who was it that most recently did the tope? And
Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, and the gimmick on the top rope.
Oh God.
It was. I remember Cedric doing that a couple years ago,
Jesus.
and I thought it was going to flip him back in the ring.
I can't even imagine how much of a hassle it can be.
Oh yeah, it gets in the way.
Oh goodness.
It's good stuff though. I mean, I'm all about a good penis plex. That's some fun stuff. I mean, that should be extra points. When it happens, they should end the match.
You win. You just win.
It's like it makes as much sense as like Quidditch.
Right.
Which always bothered me. It's like they do all these things in Quidditch.
Yeah.
But if you catch that fucking ball, it's like, oh hey, game over.
Yeah.
10 million points.
It's like all the other people don't even really matter.
Yeah, it's like
because the game can't end until you catch the snitch.
Right. It doesn't matter. It's like all these injuries and
those other people are just fun to watch while the other two are.
So why don't everybody just say fuck it as soon as that thing comes out?
Everyone just
the whole team just goes.
I think it's against the rules. I think only the seeker can catch the snitch.
Yeah, but that's right. Only he can catch it. But why not have them flying right beside you?
True.
You know?
And like protecting you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
I'm sorry. I hate to go all over the place, but I really don't care. I don't care. So here's what happened. Okay? This is what happened. We did a full show.
Yes.
And it goes into the nether. We have shows that go into the nether.
They just never come back.
And this one was for a good reason. Well, it was almost a full show.
Yeah.
We had one thing left.
We were so close.
We had one thing left, and we're like, it's getting late. Let's finish it tomorrow. And
We shouldn't have finished it.
I don't know why we
tomorrow.
sling bladed it when we did it. We'll finish this tomorrow. But yeah, we were gonna finish it the next day. And it's like no big deal, right?
It wasn't
All fair.
at the time.
And this was like from one of our, we call them proper episodes or live episodes, because live episodes are never going to be as well refined as
Of course not.
because you know there's no editing. It's just, it is what it is. It's broadcasting straight through the board, and we don't really have, there's no effects, anything like that. So you're getting what you're getting, like right now. But the deal was the next day, I mean,
The wrestling world exploded.
yeah. And we'll get to it, but New Japan, we had this big, long deal about New Japan. And there was so much news, much news. And it kind of went the way of the wayside because of COVID.
Yeah.
And
Kind of.
Yeah.
Doesn't even cover it.
well, it's Japanese, it's COVID-san. But I mean, the COVID-san took us out. And it really sucks because we were deep diving the shit out of it and having a good time with it. And then it just went crazy for a few days and things got in the way and it just wasn't a good time because we were trying to watch this and do this, catch up on this, all this stuff. But it's all good because we're here now. What we're doing is live right now.
Yes.
And then we're going to do the live after AEW.
Yes, tomorrow night.
And we will try to get back on the regular proper show after that, sometime around the end of the weekend kind of thing.
Yes.
And yeah, so good stuff on that. But I don't know, man. I guess the thing I need to talk about, though, before we get into anything else, would be Innovate Wrestling. Because a little thing called Innovate Wrestling is coming back to the Kingsport Civic Auditorium in beautiful Kingsport, Tennessee. I hate you, Kingsport. I don't hate Kingsport. I hate the people in Kingsport.
Yeah.
It's just the people.
And the smell.
The smell is terrible. I used to think that was just the people, but they have their own smell. And
it's like a mix of both smells.
Yeah. You see, now you're healing out.
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be the nice one.
Yeah, what the hell?
Kingsport has lovely views of radioactive lakes.
Yeah. Three-headed ducks. Yeah, it's a good stuff. May 29th at the Civic Auditorium. And one thing we can say about it, the historic Civic Auditorium.
Yes.
Because this place was, I mean, dude, yeah, just years and years and years and decades and decades and decades of the greatest of professional wrestling in East Tennessee. And that's what's coming back again because Innovate Wrestling, after the historic homecoming event that you can watch right now if you go to High Spots Wrestling, and you can you need to get a subscription anyway because it's got everything on there. They've been doing a bunch of Memphis stuff, and you can watch everything, man. You can go there and watch the Bill and Buddy show, whatever you want to do. Good stuff. But innovatewrestling.com is another way to do it, and you can use Pivot Share over there, watch a little bit of everything, and get all the news for everything happening, including the big main event. And the big main event's going to be my guy, my cornerstone, my partner for the last couple decades, Mr. Chris Richards. And he is the Tennessee Redneck, but I call him the Cornerstone because he's the cornerstone of a little thing called John Hawkins Promotions. And he's also the final television champion in the history of Innovate Wrestling because way back when we were Championship Wrestling, before we were CWA, before we were NWA Smoky Mountain, we've had a few names. We had our first TV champion crowned in 2006 because back then we actually did the weekly TV on the local television. And we did that. God, we did that for many, many, many years. And that's just not really fruitful these days. It's not the way people do it. Everybody gets their internet. So we do a lot of micro content. Plus, we have the streaming as always. So TV champion doesn't make quite as much sense. We could always have the streaming champion and you can lock up the belt every now and then, have it disappear. But no, we're going to have a little match between the United States champion and the TV champion. And we're going to create the first ever Innovate Wrestling Grand Championship. So
it's going to be exciting.
It is exciting, and I've seen the belt, and the belt is fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait
The
to see
belt
it.
is so unique and awesome. It's a really cool belt, especially for the indies, man. It's a cool belt. So they tried stacking the table against us because, I don't know, things went a little crazy last time. Toby Farley fell off the stage and, broke a table, and they're punishing us for that.
Right.
The guy's, he's clumsy.
Always your fault.
He's clumsy as hell. He needed glasses on. We were trying to help the guy to the back, and
tried to catch him.
And he fell off
by the neck.
Fell off the stage, and then I bumped in and choked out, Rob Knight, and it was some weird stuff like that. So
a freak accident.
Out of anything, running for sheriff, they got Kim Birchfield. That anybody in local wrestling, around local wrestling, knows that name. Going all the way back to like Smoky Mountain Wrestling, he was a special enforcer at times. He's been around the wrestling business enough for many, many years, and they think he's going to come in and do something to keep me. Well, not that I would interfere, but I take a little bit of, sense of pride in the fact that I like to move around how I like to move around.
Right.
So anyway, they're just trying to stack it against us, but they made a mistake. See, the mistake was they were like, well, we're going to make it because of what happened last time. We have to have a winner, so we'll just have, no holds barred.
Ooh.
Now, the thing about no holds barred is it sounds good in theory, but you got to think that means that if I take my fist and I jack the jaw with Kim Birchfield, okay, it doesn't matter because there was no holds barred, no DQ, no time limit, has to be a winner. I'm just saying, being the first grand champion is pretty important for John Hawkins Promotions, pretty important for John Hawkins, pretty important for Chris Richards. So, people, if you've never seen an Innovate Wrestling event, let me just say, this is the one you need to come see because this is also the one I like to call my event. Collision Course, way back when I first came over and debuted for this company, it was at the first Collision Course, and that was many, many moons ago. And they've had some hellacious ones. I know Chase Owens, he shared a match from like 5 years ago, him and AJ. It was Collision Course.
Yeah.
Because AJ was already Bullet Club and all this stuff. I think it was right before Chase went to Japan. Maybe he'd already been on a trip.
Right. He was already the crown jewel.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. I don't know. It's a great match, though. You should go to Chase's social media and check that out because it was really great. But we've had a hell of a lot of great events, and this one is going to be no exception. We've got a bunch of incredible matches, a bunch of incredible talent, including the return of Jason the Gift Kincaid, which, my God, top of the indies, buddy. Top of the morning to you. But it's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm just talking about the main event, and it definitely is a show driven by the main event on this because it's going to be a slobber knocker.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a Tennessee dog whooping. So it's some good stuff.
That's one way to put it.
Yes, that is one way to put it. And, hey, can I talk about another podcast?
Sure.
I want to talk about Ron Fuller's Studcast.
Okay.
Because it's my favorite podcast.
It is a wonderful podcast.
Yes. Anybody who likes history, it's the place to go. Because if you don't know, if you like Tennessee wrestling, if you like Southern wrestling, Alabama, whatever, this is the place to go. The Fuller family, I would go back to the very first, to go to tnstud.com, listen to the whole thing. Anyway, the big 200th episode of Studcast is coming out. And it'll be out in a couple of weeks. I think tomorrow's episode's 199. It usually comes out on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. So then you'll have episode 200. But a little birdie told me that somebody might be on that episode. Ooh. So I
wonder who.
I don't know, some sexy bald guy with with some good ideas for the show.
Right.
Had a really good idea for the show, and the Stud's gonna have him come on the show. So
wow. Lucky him.
Super honored. I can't wait to do this, and I'm really, really jazzed.
Yeah.
Because, man, I love Stud. It's like my first thing I ever marked out for was Continental Wrestling. And, marked out. While I had friends talking about, like, WWF stuff,
right,
I was talking about the Nightmares. And they were like, who? I'm like, the Nightmares. Who? It's the Nightmares versus the Rich Cousins. Have you not been watching this? Oh, my God. It's a blood feud. It just, that was my shit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I was so happy to be involved in local wrestling.
Yeah.
Early on. But anyway, that's all I got to say about all that. I think it's time because we got a lot of shit to get into, and I want to get right into it.
Oh,
so let's jump into some New Japan.
Okay, New Japan. So we're just going to jump right into it. This all started.
I am so sorry, But it looks like you have and I was just looking at your notes here. It looks like you had an added little note here at the top.
That's the bottom of another section.
Oh, shit.
You just want to start out with that one?
Yeah, because I didn't know this. I missed this one.
Okay, well, I'll just add this in here then real quick. Voices of Wrestling reported that Ricky Starks will be out for 3 months with a fractured neck.
So
our boy.
So, okay. So that was a bad landing.
It was. This happened on April 21st on Dynamite when he faced Hangman Page. That German suplex he took where he like crumpled his neck apparently really hurt him.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it really, really messed him up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that same reaction because after the show he even tweeted that he was fine.
Yeah.
But he's not fine.
Well, what a tough sumbitch.
Yeah, he finished the match.
Especially cracking his neck, man.
Oh, I feel so bad for him. He was starting to pick up steam and everything.
Well, some of the best have, started out with a fractured neck. So
True.
It's just one of those things you fracture.
Yes, it made me very sad to see, though.
It sucks because, I mean, he was picking up steam, and it looked like something interesting was happening in his story.
Yeah.
It was just getting to that point where he was kind of getting some respect. It was weird. It
was like a look between him and Christian. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, I was hoping there was something happening there.
Me too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm sure we'll still see him on the show, just not wrestling.
Yeah.
He'll probably still make appearances, though, for the next 3 months. Ugh.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. I didn't know you could come back from a fractured neck in 3 months.
I don't think it's terrible fracture. I think it's like a slight fracture. Still a fracture, though.
Yeah, it's a slight fractured neck. Yeah.
I slightly fractured my wrist in middle school.
Yeah, okay. So that sucks.
It does.
Get well, Ricky Starks.
Yes.
You're one of the ones we love.
Rest up.
It's a short list. So get us to New Japan.
Okay. New Japan. All this started going down on May 4th, as far as we know, which was night 2 of Wrestling Dontaku.
And Star Wars Day.
So on that night, one of the wrestlers showed up presenting with a fever. So, of course, they took him off the card, and they removed 6 wrestlers in total because they had to take off everyone that had been in contact with this person, like wrestling them and stuff.
Yeah.
Recently, just to be safe. So after that, they ended up testing all the wrestlers on the roster.
Right.
And because of that, they came up with a total of 9 positive COVID tests. Because there were originally 2 positive tests, and then after testing everyone, there were 7 more positive tests.
Right.
So because of this, and because of the state of emergency in Japan right now, which has been extended to the end of May at the very soonest,
right,
they've had to postpone Wrestle Grand Slam. Yeah. Which is sad.
It really is. Such a big event.
It is. And they're streaming it on Fight, and it was going to be amazing. And they already said that they are looking into dates and trying to finalize dates for them later in the year, obviously. But it still sucks. We're going to have to wait longer.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sucks for the boys.
Yeah, definitely.
Ultimately. They have to go through so much anyway to get over there.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, for the foreigners, you have to quarantine for a certain amount of time, and then you're ready for your match. So to get over there and then have this taken away, it really sucks for the boys.
I'm sure.
So my heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to the company and to the people of Japan who are dealing with this right now. Obviously, it's a terrible, terrible time where
it's scary.
Yeah, scary. They're starting right at the time when we're starting to flatten it here. It's really picking up some steam there, which is surprising, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And just more so than wrestling, it's just the people part of this. Really our hearts go out to you. And we'll have the wrestling back, and hopefully the guys all make it home safe, and we get some dates coming up.
They did say that all of the wrestlers that tested positive are showing only mild symptoms or are completely asymptomatic right now.
Yeah, the wrestlers.
So hopefully they all recover quickly and they're all okay and everything goes fine.
Yeah, it's Japan. I mean, they're going to say, you can have somebody with their arm falling off. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh,
or
no.
their legs going sideways.
You look okay to me. You'll do pretty good.
You can still wrestle. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
I love Japan.
Me too. I love the hardcoreness of it.
But that's not the only thing that happened on May 4th.
No, it's not the only thing that happened on May the 4th.
There was
You might have heard about it.
a match
You may have heard something.
that just blew everything out of the water. Made everyone forget everything that was happening.
Yeah, it blew it in the water.
Because
That's hard to do, too.
Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi.
Then bitches drown like that.
The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship was incredible.
Yes.
It's hard to form the words for how amazing this match was.
Yeah, it really is. And I know Uncle Dave gave it 6 stars, and we go by the 10-point system here, so honestly it's like a 20.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want anything to touch this, because sometimes you get caught up in hype.
Yes.
And, we always watch the Japanese version, go back and watch Kevin's version, Kevin Kelly. But we just started off with Kevin's this time. We waited for it to come out. And the hype was there. But we sat down and we're like, okay, look, we know what they've said about it, but let's just go into a clear head.
Yeah.
And watch it.
No preconceived notions.
Yeah, I mean, listen, dude. It's just like what Kevin Kelly said. I've called Omega and Okada. I've called Tanahashi and Okada. I've called Jay and Ibushi. But this is the best wrestling match I've ever called.
Oh, gives me chills still.
That's his exact quote. I mean,
it's hard to argue with him.
It's some of the amazing things that happened in this match. You want to talk about some of the bullet points?
Oh my goodness, some of the bullet points. There's so many though.
Well, see, the thing is, and the reason we even point this out is because in this match, of course, you have to see it to appreciate it. I don't care if you don't have a subscription. Go get off your dumb ass and get a subscription to New Japan World. And right now is a great time since they don't have a whole lot of income coming in. Throw them $10, but
show your support.
It's worth watching for 2 things. NJPW Strong.
Yes.
Every Friday night.
Yes.
And this damn match.
This match.
And while you're at it, you can watch every Shingo main event for the past year and a half.
Yeah. You need to watch every Shingo match that's
Shingo
ever
match.
happened.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, seriously.
The man's a star machine.
He is.
Okay. So this match, I mean, it started off just like any match. You're like, oh, cool. It's a normal New Japan match.
Yeah.
You're not prepared.
Which is already good.
Yes.
I mean, but it was normal in the sense of better than everything else.
But then you get 20 minutes into the match, which is like the length of a normal wrestling match, and they start doing things like...
Are you kidding? 20 minutes is the length of when they're like, oh my God, they went 20 minutes on Raw. Guys are blown up. The announcers have ran out of words. They're like,
oh God. Well, they start doing...
Head of the table.
That's all I can say. Head of the table. Head of the table. They start doing this stuff, like these crazy things where it's just reversal after reversal after reversal, like no Shigami into a wheelbarrow German suplex into landing on your feet from a pumping bomber, and I mean into just craziness. One after the other.
The craziness was the best part of it. I mean, Takagi at one point used Made in Japan on Ospreay through 2 tables.
Yeah.
And it cut up Ospreay's back real good.
Oh God.
And it was one of the closest 20s you've ever seen.
It was.
Getting in at 19th. Shingo used Made in Japan on his head for near fall. I mean, on his head too. When we say on his head, we mean on his damn.
On his head.
Yeah, he Ricky Starks it, and then he set up a pumping bomber, but Ospreay collapsed, which is beautiful. It's kind of like that Omega moment.
Yeah,
with Okada. Yeah, I love that when Omega collapses.
Yes.
And he can't do it. Takagi climbed to the middle rope with Ospreay on his back, but Ospreay escaped and went to the top for a top rope Hurricanrana. But Shingo held on and didn't go with him, and he came off the top into an Oscutter. But the thing about this is it happened, and it was so real. It was so... It wasn't just like somebody... Because we've seen somebody sit up there while somebody flips off before.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was done in such a way. And that was the thing about this match. There was things that both guys did that they don't do in their normal match. No, they don't even do in their normal main event. And it wasn't just like they pulled it out just... it was so natural. The way these things happened, it was so organic and beautiful. And I remember about halfway through, I was like, this is a work of art.
Yeah. There's like this moment where Will gets up on the corner and he starts smacking himself.
Yeah.
Like, wake up, because he's like in the fight of his life.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected it.
And the story was he was kind of looking past Shingo to Okada.
He's just focused on Okada.
And he wasn't taking it serious. You pointed that out at the very first of the match.
He was not. It was like a stepping stone.
And because he's wrestling right now, Ospreay's performing at a step above everyone else.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's kind of like Flash in the comics. He's kind of going a little bit faster than everybody.
Right.
And so it's real time to everybody else, but he can like run. It's, if you were to compare it to anything, the level, the zone that he's in right now.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong. And he is really taking this heavyweight thing on. We loved it from the first. We loved everything about the faction. We loved, everything.
Yes.
And could really see what they were doing. And I think, for some people, I didn't hear a lot of naysayers, but for some people, it was shocking.
Oh, yeah.
That he got the title.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't see that coming at all.
But it seems like he should have always been champion. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like it feels right.
He's a champion.
Seeing him in the belt feels right.
Honestly, to go back a little bit, I know whenever Nick Bockwinkel had the belt, it was just like, oh, okay, that guy's a world champion. It's just the way he carried himself, and it just seemed right.
Yeah.
And it seemed right for Will to have the belt.
I think this match definitely established him as a champion. Like, he won the belt, yes, but now he's officially defended the belt in one of the most incredible matches that anyone's ever had.
Absolutely. Some of the other things, just quickly, Ospreay got a near fall with a crucifix, and easy for me to say. Then he used a spinning forearm and a hook kick, which is my favorite thing. And I love it. You're just like, oh, everything's fine, and then hook kick to the face. To set up Stormbreaker, and Takagi turned it into Last of the Dragon. Ospreay used the Poison Rana, and Takagi came back with a Poison Rana of his own.
Just craziness.
Ospreay hit the Hidden Blade and went for the pin, but Takagi's arm was under the plane of the ropes, which that one was one of those moments where you think, man, shit, is Shingo going to win this?
Yeah.
Because
you're like, oh no.
Yeah, because usually when you give the heel and out to complain.
Yeah, like, I should have won at that moment.
Yeah.
But his arm just happened to be under the ropes.
But dude, it was just barely in. Like, it was one of those things where you're like, wow. It was the right call.
Yeah.
No question about it. But Shingo could have been beat right then.
Yeah, and after that point, it just took a turn for the nasty, like, elbows.
Well, yeah.
Headbutts.
Anybody who's familiar with the New Japan product,
Jesus.
There's like chapters to the main events.
Yes.
And there's like
acts, like a play.
Yeah. Like normally your first act is very basic and it's stiff, but it's very basic, establishing everything. You're going to go, and when you get 20 minutes in,
you're just now getting to act 2.
And you see them really picking it up.
Jesus.
You're like, oh yeah.
You're in for a good one.
We got a 40-minute coming up.
Oh yeah, and we did.
Oh yeah, we did. We did. Because you go from that, and Ospreay couldn't get him up for the Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
And Shingo came back with all kinds of elbows, like Raj was saying, and a pop-up Death Valley bomb. And Shingo went for another pumpy bomber, but Ospreay turned it into the Spanish Fly. And Ospreay landed elbow after elbow, and Takagi came back with elbows, and they traded headbutts, which was some nasty stuff. And the best part about that is watching Red Shoes sell it. And then Ospreay hit the Rainmaker, Hidden Blade, and the Stormbreaker, which I'm sorry, pal.
That's it.
And you don't have bullshit stuff in New Japan. So It ended at 44 minutes and 53 seconds of pure, unbridled passion. And like I said, Dave Meltzer gave it 6 stars.
Which it deserves.
It does. It does. And I love the star ratings. I really do. The people that were pissed off the first time that we went past the 5 stars, which it wasn't the first time, by the way, but when it went past there, this kind of shit didn't used to happen in wrestling matches.
Yeah.
It just didn't. I'm as much old school as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, if your job is to judge diving, okay, back in the day, you might have had somebody jump off the same diving board in the same place into the same pool. And you would have judged that, 1 out of 10 or whatever.
Right.
Based on, the form and how it went in, the splash or lack thereof or whatever. But then maybe the athletes evolve. And you have people doing like I don't know what to even call it, triple axel back son, something
like that.
Into a do-si-do down the chute, whatever. The level of difficulty gets turned up.
Yes,
and
the standard gets turned up.
And to increase your level of difficulty tenfold, and to still deliver a perfect match. Now, what is a perfect match? Well, to me, that doesn't mean launching boards and flipping a baboodah. Now, I'm a fan of that in the right place.
Yeah.
But it's a match that has the story.
Yes. You have to have the emotion. In
New Japan, from the lack of backstage BS and all this stuff and standing in, the ring for 20 minutes and doing a promo back and forth with somebody, what you have is two athletes that you can always take a New Japan main event.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to that 10, 15, 20-minute mark, you're going to know who the baby and who the heel is.
Yeah.
And you're also going to know what the story is.
Oh, yeah.
And because every match is going to have its own nuances. It's going to have its own story.
It comes down to the camera work and the facial expressions.
Everything.
It's so detailed and so beautiful, and it's just, I don't know how they do it.
There's so many shots.
They're brilliant.
So many shots from New Japan production that I can think of that just some of the best facials. So you get back to Ibushi and Ospreay.
Yeah. That one moment, I think, revolutionized everything.
Yeah, I mean, just that shock, because you've got the face right in front of you, but your opponent's still standing, and it's that realization.
Yeah.
And they capture this stuff so beautifully. And even as a kid, when I ordered my first Japanese tapes, there was a difference in production. There was a difference. It just looked better, and there was something about it. It was like it's like they cared more or something, and it was
took it more seriously.
Yeah, like the matches were just violent as hell, and
right.
But not in a cheap way.
Right.
It was like these guys actually
not just for the heck of it.
Yeah, they wanted to beat the crap out of each other.
Right.
I'll give the 70s this. If you go back and watch some matches from the 70s, you'll see two guys trying to kill each other. And regardless of how many flips they do or not, even like early 80s, if you go back and watch some of the Roddy Piper stuff, one of the reasons he's my favorite is because Piper had this very awkward offense that was just so real.
Right.
And it just looked like a fight, even the way that they would go down. Like I can think of one. I showed you a Greg Valentine Piper match, but not the dog collar match, but just a regular match.
Yeah.
And even in that, you were like, shit.
Yeah. It looks scary.
Yeah. It's like he's trying to whip his ass.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can argue and say he was,
Yeah.
But
he probably was.
I love that stuff, and this has elements of all of that.
Yeah. The story is definitely one of the most important aspects of professional wrestling because you get invested.
Yeah.
And in any main event New Japan show, like a big show, like Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, Sakura Genesis, any of those, even Wrestling Dontaku, obviously, but any of those matches in the main event, it's like a roller coaster, and you get so pulled in that you forget everything else going on. And this match was just, oh, this guy's cocky. He doesn't think that this guy can beat him. He's going to make quick work of him so he can get to his real rival. And then halfway through, he's like, oh, crap, I'm in trouble. I didn't take this seriously.
Right.
And it's a whole struggle to get yourself in the mindset to beat this guy that you weren't expecting to be this good. And it was a fight.
Yeah.
He had to really hype himself up to get through it.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the beauty of like G1. The reason people go crazy for the G1 is every night of the tour, you're getting a card filled with these.
Yeah, because they're all singles matches.
Yeah.
And they take singles matches very seriously.
Yeah, that's another difference. If you get a singles match in Japan, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And, so your guys know each other. They might go on the tour and have these multi-man tags that have, everybody against everybody that's going to be coming up.
Yeah,
with
they
faction
always
war.
set it up.
And, you'll have these things to set up. They might work, 10, 20 times before they have that singles match.
Mm-hmm.
So you've had different time to work on your shit.
Yeah.
And you got to know your partner, right? It's just like Dancing with the Stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
At first, they're stepping on each other's feet. As the weeks go and they get to know their partner,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. New Japan, from the first day you're in the dojo,
Yeah.
and they shave your head or whatever,
Put you in the black trunks.
the dues that you pay and the training you go through, that's why these guys can come out of that and they're just golden.
Yeah.
I mean, just amazing. But we could go on about this match. Listen, the people say go out of your way.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if next year we were reading about this as match of the year for 2021.
Definitely a candidate. I mean,
yeah.
it's my match of the year right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely my New Japan match of the year. And there's been some great ones.
Yeah.
Some fucking great ones.
Jay White and Kota Ibushi.
Yeah.
To name one.
Well, I mean, honestly, I have to put Desperado in there too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was emotion. I mean, that was emotion.
It was.
And, was Hiromu and Despy this year?
That might have actually been at the end of last year.
Okay.
So it wouldn't qualify.
Because that killed me.
Dang.
When Hiromu pulled Despy's mask off.
We died a little inside.
I'm serious. I mean, we both teared up.
Yeah.
It was
bad.
It was so good. And that's one thing I love about it is this is a shoot. Like, I had a hard time watching wrestling after getting in wrestling in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I never watched it the same way again. After the first time I trained, and any of you workers know what I'm talking about. The first time you train, you never see anything the same way.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be critical. Maybe you're more forgiving. But the one thing you are is you kind of, I would imagine if you were a big fan of magic growing up and you love going to magic shows and then you learn how to become a magician, I'd say you look at it differently.
It ruins magic a little bit.
Yeah. And so when you find something that puts the magic back in it for you.
Yeah.
And that's what New Japan did for me, is it put the magic back in it. And,
it's still serving it to this day.
Yeah, we've been all over it. So it's just one of those things. It's one of my favorite things in this world is watching a card.
It's so much fun. I can't. I hope it doesn't take them too long to come back.
I know, but it's a good time to go back and check out some classics.
Oh,
so
yeah, definitely.
I was thinking about doing one as a Patreon bonus, a watch along deal with one of the old Wrestle Kingdoms.
That would be fun.
I thought it would be fun. So I had a specific.
Just gotta pick one.
I had a specific one in mind.
Oh.
So
I already know which one.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
So
stay tuned for that.
Yeah. So let's move on here.
Yes, I think we've spent enough time on Japan. Sorry, Japan. We're going to move on to WWE and just a few little notes here. Basically, Throwback SmackDown was amazing.
Yeah, Throwback SmackDown was good.
And they had great ratings for that.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually up like 13% from the week before.
Yeah.
Because of this episode. And it was a really good episode.
And
I enjoyed it.
I invite people to do what we do. So it's not about expectations, lowering or raising, but you're getting different products, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to a fine dining, okay, and you're judging the steak, whether or not it melts in your mouth and whether or not they folded your napkin correctly or filled your wine at the right time, there's a different set of standards there. That the steak, I mean, that restaurant has set those standards.
Yes.
It's not me going there expecting that until I'm there that first time, and then I'm kind of wanting those standards. But if I'm going to McDonald's, do you know what my expectation is? Like, a good visit to McDonald's means the shake machine's not broken. It means I'm able to get through the line pretty quickly, and it means they get my fucking order correct.
Yeah.
So if
those are the expectations.
If all that happens, so little of it depends on the quality of the food.
Yeah.
And I know it's a weird comparison.
I understood it perfectly.
But when I'm watching WWE, I've got a hunger pain. And I don't give a shit what I'm putting in there. So it's going to be some McNuggets.
Yeah.
Okay. When I'm watching New Japan, oh baby, we're going out.
You expect the quality.
We're going out. We're dressing up.
We don't apply Japan standards to WWE because we do not at all expect it to be that good. And that's okay because it's something completely different.
And AEW is Outback.
Yeah. It's right in the middle.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. Like, it's the finest dining that some people will ever go to. Okay?
They got them rolls.
Because some people don't realize that there's this other thing out there.
Oh, goodness.
Because it's harder to find.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
I got you.
But because you see those people.
But it's still like the fancy restaurant.
It's the fancy restaurant
to them.
Yeah. It's the fanciest thing they'll ever see.
What does that make raw?
I told you it's Raw. You're not talking about SmackDown.
No.
Raw is that.
Is that like cooking at home, like frozen dinner?
Raw's like the hot dog stand.
Okay.
If you don't die of food poisoning, it's a good day.
There you go. That's the expectation.
That's the expectation right now. As long as I can eat the chili without the guy grinning at me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with Raw.
It's almost insanity how different the two shows on the same product are.
With the same fucking booker.
It blows my mind.
That's what I don't understand.
But SmackDown is at least enjoyable at some points. Points.
I think really, and I can answer this. I know what this is. Because all the SmackDown, I think we forgive some of it because the main story right now is so good.
Yeah, I'm totally invested.
And there's a little thing that came out, and you never know about these things, how much of them are true or what, but you know how words are.
Right.
They're wind. But there's supposedly, I don't even know what the source is for this, but it's one of you assholes.
One of you said it.
The Roman Reigns storyline is not done by your traditional writers.
Oh.
It's Vince, it's Roman, it's Paul.
Oh, there you go.
You know, it's the guys involved.
Right.
And you know,
letting people make their own storylines.
Right. But you know, you do have Vince involved in it, and you know, even to Paul Heyman, the salute to Bryan.
Yeah.
That was apparently a shoot. like apparently that was an ad lib.
It was hilarious.
And that
I laughed so hard.
That was one of the things that was said, that they didn't really expect that or know that was coming, but they popped for it in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I imagine Paul Heyman does that a lot.
Well, Paul Heyman just gave right before the Bryan match to end Bryan's SmackDown career. That promo he gave.
Yeah.
Could be promo class.
Yeah, definitely.
And that happened on WWE TV. So people that want to shit on anything, you shouldn't, because there's going to be good things. It's not like you've got, you know, a bunch of assholes that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're just given rough material.
There are hiccups, but it's still watchable.
Yeah. So the Paul Heyman promo, the beauty of it was the fact of the cadence. Number one, for me, I like finishing on something. Like when I'm doing a promo, I like to tell a small story.
Right.
And it's the best thing in the world. It's just like a comedy act. If you'll notice, a good comedian will do a joke somewhere near the first.
Yeah.
And, you know, whatever the punchline is, it comes back to it.
Yeah.
And he closes on something you heard at the very first.
Right, yeah. I've noticed that.
And that is the formula. That is because you're like, oh, he had us the whole time. Oh, we're all happy. He finished with that. And a good promo, I love to do that. And you know, when I teach guys, I always like, you know, you got to have the part where you're screaming. You got to have the part where you bring it down.
Right.
And you're like, let me tell you something, Janera. You know, da 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 da. And then you pull it up, because when, and what's when, and then that's the blood, sweat, tears part. You
right,
know?
right.
My blood, my sweat, my tears. And you get to that, and you pull it back down again. And that's where, because tell where you're going to be, tell how they're going to see it, and and then give you a little catchphrase.
Right.
As mine has always been, you know, coming with me.
Right.
You know? And then you look at the camera. Don't walk off, by the way. I hate that. It's so fucking green. Don't.
You just stand there.
Don't walk off. I had some people, what do you call it when they're scared to tell you themselves? And they say something in general because they are
passive aggressive.
Yes. So I get a lot of that. But there was some passive aggressive people that came out, and they were just like, I put up my last promo, it was like 6 minutes. But it was the best 6 minutes fuckers ever seen, I promise you. But there was a couple of people that were local, somewhat local, and they were like, just putting little in general post up like, don't ever put up a 10-minute promo doggy dog, because I've been all over the goddamn county, whatever. And those guys, honestly, if I knew where one of them lived, I would have drove to his house, walked in his house, and just peed on him. I would have whipped it out.
Sit him down and make him watch the entire promo.
And pissed on him as I recounted the promo.
You're going to do it live.
So this last time, I recorded one the other night, and I did it exactly at 3 minutes. Like exactly at 3 minutes.
So now you're being passive aggressive.
Yes. Yes, I am. But I decided not to put that one out because I had this great idea. I was like, I'm going to be looking in the mirror, and I'm going to have the camera beside me. Even though I bought all this great equipment and this next level camera to do these wonderful promos, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm just going to do it in the bathroom. And so I have the camera like semi behind my head.
Yeah.
And I couldn't use it. You know why?
Why?
Because I've never seen the back of my fucking head. And I didn't realize that as skinny as I am, that there's like these little like folds in the back of my head. So when I was talking, I saw the little folds moving like my mouth.
You just got to do it more from the side.
And it really bothered me. So I was like, nope, not going to do that one. I can't do that. So I'm going to have to redo it.
Okay.
But anyway, yes. WWE, Paul Heyman promo. He comes out there and he was just so amazing. And he was like, the yes thing with Daniel Bryan, obviously. And he was just like, this Daniel Bryan, Hall of Fame, yes. Then Daniel Bryan, main event WrestleMania, yes. Did he overcome the odds? And yes. Did he do all, and then he's like, is he going to beat Roman Reigns? No. And the facials he was giving throughout the promos, like he realized he was putting down his client.
Yeah.
And like it was just little slight little nuances. Like the fact that when he comes out, that Maniac is staring right at Roman the whole time.
Not even just coming out, even when they're sitting in the back.
I love that so much. Like he is so great.
Yeah, he is.
He is so...
It's next level.
He is so great. I tend to think that's going to come back. I really hope that this story ends up with Brock Lesnar. I mean, I know people have their opinions on Brock.
Yeah.
But with the run Roman's been on, and he's so unbeatable and all this stuff, right?
Right.
With this run he's been on, and the fact he's got Heyman, how fucking awesome would listen to me, a babyface Brock Lesnar to end his career, a babyface,
right?
Brock Lesnar.
That would be pretty cool.
I mean,
I love Brock.
I do too. I mean, we always have.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've loved that crazy bastard since the first time I ever saw him doing a dark match in person. And I'm like, did he just do a shooting star? Because when you first seen him, when Brock, I mean, I literally, the first time I ever seen Brock Lesnar, it was him and Shelton as the Minnesota Stretching Crew. So they were already over with me.
Right.
Because of the name. And they were legit.
Yeah.
And they were huge, legit amateur, So they're out there, and I'm like, holy shit, that guy is a moose. I mean, the first time I saw Brock, it was like we'd had muscle guys around forever, but not something that looked like that.
Right.
I mean, this son of a bitch.
He's just different.
This son of a bitch with the canned hams and the freaking, I mean, holy shit. And so then he gets up and he does a shooting star. That big bastard. And I'm like, oh my God. This guy's terrifying.
And you were in love.
Oh, I was totally in love. I couldn't wait for him to get to the main roster. So I've always loved the guy.
He looks like the human version of one of those buff pit bulls.
Yeah, he does, don't he? But I hope he comes back and babyface Brock and Roman like WrestleMania. That would be amazing.
So you think Paul Heyman's just been studying Roman this whole time?
Well, I think wouldn't it be cool, but I would like Paul to screw Brock. Like I would really
stay with Roman.
Yeah, I'd really like it to seem
he actually fell in love with him.
Like it seemed like it's the other way, but
right.
Brock
He'd probably be torn.
I just don't know how well Brock could do the babyface because I don't think I think he's like me. I think he really hates the people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, if you're gonna snap, and like make someone bleed in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Not very babyface.
Right.
I think that might have been Roman. He did that too.
Well, no, it's good though. It's good. I mean, that sometimes it works. It works for me.
Does it though?
Does
it work out good in the end? In the long run?
We just need to move on.
Okay. Well, coming up for WWE, of course, this Sunday we have WrestleMania Backlash.
Sorry.
It's the backlash from WrestleMania.
Yes. WrestleMania Backwash.
As
this
if
Sunday.
we haven't been seeing the backlash for the past month.
Yeah. There's a match that I'm interested in.
Yes. Is that the Universal Championship match?
That would happen to be it.
Roman Reigns versus Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I love Cesaro. I'm so glad that he's getting a push, even though he's going to lose.
Yeah.
Because he has to.
He has to. Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way.
In the storyline. Especially since Jimmy's back and causing trouble.
Yeah, there's no way. I'm just hoping. What I hope happens out of this, I hope Cesaro has a great showing.
Uh-huh.
And it turns into Cesaro quickly winning, another belt.
Right.
And so, because I think that matchup's out there for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it would be, I think that right now, if certain things stayed the way they are, you have a really cool matchup with the Bar.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
So
that would be cool.
Even if he loses that, he can go and you can have, again, the Battle of the Bar. And, of course, you're going to see a bunch of slobber knocking on that.
Oh, God.
And at this point, it would mean a lot more.
Yeah.
Because Cesaro is really established.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I would like to see him have a belt.
Yeah. As much as I would like him to eventually be the one to dethrone Roman, I have a feeling it's going to be someone closer to the chest.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Absolutely.
So that night we also have the WWE Championship match, which is a triple threat between Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
And the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Bianca Belair versus Bayley.
Mm-hmm.
The Raw Women's Championship match is also a triple threat.
Yep.
Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair.
Which, man, they've really fumbled Rhea.
Yeah.
They've really fumbled her bad.
Poor thing.
In my opinion. I just don't think she's got the. I don't know, man.
She needs a manager.
I like Charlotte Flair. So
you're like, give Charlotte the belt back.
I would give Charlotte the belt just because people hate her. I mean,
it works.
It does work.
You want to see the person you hate with the belt. Trust me.
Yeah, man.
There will also be a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, as much as I love the Dirty Dogs, just because they're old dudes and they're really good together. I mean,
they are.
I dig them together, but they're gonna lose.
Well, yeah.
So the Mysterios are gonna win the tag titles and be the father-son tag team champions.
Yeah.
But so they can lose the belts to the Usos because they're gonna have all the gold.
There you go.
And you feel me, Us?
I feel you, Us.
Okay.
And we also get to see a lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz.
It's a lumberjack and I don't care. I mean, holy shit. Can Damian Priest beat The Miz and Morrison in any other ways?
I mean, so.
I wish they would do a video, like a vignette where he just goes to their house and kicks their fucking dogs.
He's like, leave me alone.
Just like, Jesus Christ, can we get past this? Tommy Rich Buzz Sawyer? What the hell? They think that's what ruined Tommy's career. He faced Buzz Sawyer like 1,000 times. Well, probably 10,000 times.
Right.
And the feud just would not end.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Jesus Christ, okay, we're done.
That's like me right now with Seth Rollins continuously coming after Cesaro.
Yeah.
After all the nonsense and beating him at WrestleMania and then acting like an ex-girlfriend, like, you're not going to pay attention to Roman.
But.
You're going to pay attention to me.
But it's the best Seth Rollins.
It is. I love his character.
It's the best Seth Rollins.
He needs a new person.
Seth Rollins would be saying daddy. Seth Rollins could wear
You're so stuck on that.
He could wear my tie-dye and be like, that's right, daddy.
I wish you would.
Oh.
I would love that.
Him and his gigantic nostrils. It's I don't know how you wrestle, Seth, without it taking air from you. Like, it has to be like working in Mexico City.
Oh, God.
Because you're kind of like in the ring with him. You're like, Jesus Christ, anybody hear that whistling? Why is there no air? And then you look over and you see the size of that motherfucker's nostrils. I mean, I'm serious, man. I've seen things.
It's hard to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, you could go spelunking in there. It's like, I'm serious, man. He's got the biggest nostrils that I've ever seen.
I wish someone would like hook him during a match.
Oh yeah,
That'd be hilarious.
I did lose their arm. I mean, it's gigantic, and not that there's anything wrong with it. He's a good-looking man. He's just got.
It's just an enigma.
Yeah,
it's a special thing.
And I hope that by pointing it out, I've not made you notice something you never noticed before.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what, I'll get your mind off of it. Look at Tom Cruise in a picture and watch how his mouth is off-centered from his face. His fucking mouth is like 3 inches or 4 inches off-centered from his face. His nose doesn't line up with the center of his mouth.
Oh.
It's like the corner of his mouth. I don't know what happened. I don't know if when they were screwing him back on, after they chipped him or whatever. But there you go. That and the Seth nostrils.
We have a habit of pointing out weird things about people to each other so that we have to notice it the entire time that we're watching them.
You should watch a Suzuki match with me. We have a whole storyline.
We have a mythical land in Japan that involves all the wrestlers.
Yes, there's certain little things that and there's little voices for Suzuki and Nick Gage matches when there's a little thing that lives under the ring. And it's always trying to get Nick Gage. So I turn the sound down during Nick Gage matches. And I'm always like, hey, Nicky, I'm down here. Because he's always going to go under the ring. It's a lot of fun. When it works.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. It makes it even more entertaining.
There you go. That is a Patreon special.
Oh, yes. Goblin Suzuki.
Yeah, where we do Goblin Suzuki. Because I give Suzuki a goblin voice. And the whole time he's like after you as a goblin. And
it's terrifying and also hilarious.
Yes, and it's good stuff. All right.
Okay, so before we get into AEW, I just want to mention the Impact show coming up this weekend on May 15th. It's only on Impact Plus, and it's called Under Siege. So that night, we get World Champion Kenny Omega teaming with the Good Brothers versus Eddie Edwards and the Tag Team Champions FinJuice.
Mm-hmm.
Just playing that out some more. We also have a 6-way #1 contender world title eliminator match. Mouthful.
Yeah.
So the 6 men in that match are Moose, Chris Sabin, Trey Miguel, Sami Callihan, Chris Bay, and Matt Cardona. So whoever wins that match gets to face Kenny Omega.
Hopefully it's Trey Miguel.
I hope so.
Or
that would be my pick.
Sami Callihan would be okay. Different kind of match. And, with Sami, you're going to get Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho kind of match.
Yeah.
With Trey Miguel, you're going to get something it could be anything. It's probably going to be amazing, though.
Yeah.
Kenny normally wrestles that person's match.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why he's so fantastic.
It'd be more in the vein of Kenny versus Ray Phoenix.
Yeah.
A little more on that
I'm
side.
really down to Trey Miguel, man.
Me too.
I really am.
I enjoy watching him.
I think that he's on a path right now.
Yeah, definitely. We also have a rematch for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships with the champions, Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace, versus Fire and Flava.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to be mean.
The other 2 championships are going to be contested, but we don't know who Deonna Purrazzo and Josh Alexander are facing yet. We'll find out on this week's Impact who their opponents will be. And then we have 2 singles matches, which are Brian Myers versus Black Taurus.
Black Taurus. That's my guy, by the way.
Yes.
Anybody who don't know, that's my guy to represent.
And W. Morrissey versus Willie Mack.
Yep. So poor Willie Mack. Because I don't see spending money on the recently signed Morrissey.
Yeah, definitely not.
And not getting. I wish he would come out to Morrissey. That would be cool. Like if he did some kind of gimmick like that.
They're not going to pay for Morrissey.
No, they're not. They're really not.
And that brings us to AEW.
AEW.
So, of course, we had a huge show last week.
It was huge. It was big.
And some of the biggest news coming out of that show.
It was. Wow. My things have messed up.
That was the wrong sound.
That was not the proper response from the board.
That's amazing.
Wow. That was kind of like, taking it off the pool and just being like,
Oh,
You expected
somebody
one.
must have changed it.
Wow.
You just do it like live.
Oh my God.
Do the sound yourself.
I can't now. I mean, how could I top that? Wow.
Is that how you really feel about Blood and Guts?
Jesus Christ.
Oh God. So the biggest news coming. Stop it.
So we had 1 million viewers, but we also were the number one in cable for the first time
Yes.
during Blood and Guts.
Yes.
So number one in cable, folks. That's a big deal.
It is a big win for the company.
And especially since WWE, somebody in WWE reportedly said that Blood and Guts set wrestling back 30 years. It set it back 30 years, pal. Let me tell you something. So I did some research. You can't give me a number. I'm a number guy.
Uh-huh.
You can't give me a number without me going back and looking.
Right.
So I was like, 30 years, huh? All right, well, let me get, see here. 30 years ago, WWE, what were you doing 30 years ago? Well, so apparently 30 years ago, WWE was, we had little things like, what was it, the heel Sergeant Slaughter that with his manager that was doing the Hussein gimmick. And, we had Ultimate Warrior and Papa Shango. I heard somebody talking about that with Papa Shango using the magic tricks. And, kind of like happened on Raw, which I can't believe we didn't talk about this, in the first match on Raw. Now, we talked about, this is a company talking about somebody setting something back 30 years.
Uh-huh.
So during the women's match to start off Raw on Monday night, Alexa Bliss and her doll come out to the stage.
Uh-huh.
Now, either everybody in the match is a blibbering idiot and didn't notice the set with the full playground.
Right.
Or she transported magically to the stage all of a sudden.
I bet that's it.
But she did some magic and caused Shayna Baszler's leg to go wonky during the match. Okay? During a match where you had all your top girls.
Yeah.
Now, women's revolution. So I want to know, because I remember watching POW and Glow.
Yeah.
And I remember, around about 30 years ago, you had, stupid things like magic spells and, prostitutes and things like that. And that was women's wrestling, folks. And then Monday night, this new age, this company doesn't set things back 30 years. This company that thinks it's okay to hit somebody full force in the fucking head with a chair and not see blood, because that makes sense. I think people are okay with it, considering some of the most popular things you're going to watch on television are crime dramas, are murder mysteries, are some of the most violent things. The biggest TV ratings are going to come like Game of Thrones and
fantasies where people die every episode.
So you're getting nothing but butt bumping and people getting murderized on their wedding night
in horrible fashion.
And so you're worried about putting a couple trinkets of blood for realism. Now, I'm sorry, if you get in a match, a War Games match, okay, there's going to be blood.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be blood. It's how it is. It's not like every match they have has blood, because it doesn't.
No.
But when they do, they don't have somebody run over and try whopping them up and take the camera off of it.
So they're magically not bleeding.
Yeah. And which one's doing more damage?
Yeah.
So it's fine. And the whole 30 years thing, I just had to, you go back and you had the Ultimate Warrior, Papa Shango, and you had just some of the worst shit you ever seen in your lives. I mean, it was just horrible. I wanted to go back 30 years and look. And at the same time, 30 years on WCW, you had kind of underappreciated some really good roster stuff going on. But, as Taz would, I digress. So, continue on, Giggly.
Well, there was an exciting announcement that came out of AEW this week, which is that they're returning to touring live.
Yay! I would hit the fans right now, but I'm afraid what it's going to do. So, yay!
Woo!
Woo!
Oh, this is going to start on July 7th when they are going to be in Miami, Florida. And then on July 14th, they're going to be in Cedar Park, Texas.
Mm.
And then July 21st in Garland, Texas.
Little theme here. Places that are opened.
Yeah.
So
places they can go and have a crowd.
I'm hoping Tennessee's open for business.
Oh, yeah.
Letting you guys know, if anybody's listening, Tennessee's open for business. So you can come to Nashville, please.
Please.
I would love for you to come to Knoxville, actually. Jesus, that would be great. They haven't been to Knoxville yet, have they?
No. That would be amazing.
Yeah, they need to come to Knoxville. Knoxville would draw a crowd.
It would. There's a lot of wrestling fans in Knoxville.
Absolutely.
So tomorrow night, we have a super stacked card.
Super.
Like, completely stacked to the moon.
It's super and it's stacked. It is. It's really good.
We have a couple of short spots, like Tony interviewing Jade Cargill.
No, that bitch.
Yes, that bitch.
That bitch.
Yes. We have the coronation of the Pinnacle,
Which,
whatever that means.
Yeah, at first you're always going to be like, oh, well, that might be okay. And then you're just like, Jesus.
It's going to be amazing. I know. I don't know what they're being coronated of. I don't know what the correct...
Something like that.
I don't know what the correct word is.
I'm hoping they poke fun at people that had criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they somehow fit something in and have poke fun at people that had criticism.
I hope so too.
Because I'm so sick of it. You know, you had an incredible match with the exploding ring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And something beyond their control happens at the end of it.
And suddenly it's the worst match in history.
Right. And that's all people can talk about from a great pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Just an amazing pay-per-view. And then you have this Dynamite that for all intents and purposes was a pay-per-view, non-pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And it was great through the whole thing. Blood and Guts was amazing, had some hellacious shit happen in it.
It did.
And honestly, I had no problem with that at the end. No problem. Considering I watched Rikishi come off the top of the Hell in a Cell through a crash pad. And they acted like it was the biggest thing that ever happened. You know, I mean, the times that hasn't happened, guess what? Cactus Jack wasn't supposed to go through the top of the Hell in a Cell and land like that. It was supposed to open up. You're supposed to roll down and then drop. And it just happened to give way all the way. And he went down. And of course, his tooth went through his nose. That kind of shit happens.
Yeah.
But for all those people that made the biggest deal ever when Matt Hardy came off that little ladder, and they were just like, I don't know how to do stuff like that. You those carnival shots, so shit. You're going to die. And you have that, and then you're mad. You're like, oh, that 50-year-old fell 20 feet to a softer landing than it should have been. You know, let me tell you something. I'm not 50, but I could fall half that distance and be fucked up.
Yeah.
Because I've done things in my life, okay? And it hurts.
Yeah.
You can't wrestle a year without having old man knees. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had no problem with any of it. It's wrestling.
And again, people, the important part, the story. No one's talking about MJF kneeling down and yelling thank you to Chris Jericho like he promised.
Or the fact of the surrender in the match, which was awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Or Wardlow trying to take on the entire team by himself. Or Hager fucking people up.
Yeah, it was all great. It was
makes me angry.
It was great. It was great stuff. But I think it comes down to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes down to 13-year-olds having access to Twitter.
There you go.
I really do.
That's pretty much it. We solved it.
I seen this was going to be a problem, this whole social thing.
Yeah.
When I first started playing Call of Duty and World at War, like in 2009, 2008, and I would be on there and I'd be having fun. I'd be talking to some people, or some friends. We'd be killing Nazis or whatever.
Right.
Having a good time. And then you'd have some little asshole that's modding.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, you little fuck you. And they just found out about cuss words. And they're just like, I'm just a mama, fuck your mom. You know, and you just really want to, that's like, you want to commit violence on a child.
Right.
I mean, that's just that moment where I found myself looking at my own kids, just like, I'm going to punch him in the face just to get this out of my system.
Oh.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I seen it was going to be a problem. And the problem is that, you got people on Twitter that have no repercussions.
Yeah, that is the problem.
So
nobody can get to them.
And, back in my day, if you will, back in my day, in order to talk shit, you had to be in the presence of that person.
Right. Face to face.
So if you're going to talk shit, you're going to have to back it up.
Yeah.
And you didn't always back it up.
No.
Sometimes you got smacked. And sometimes you smacked them.
Yeah.
But the shit talking was kept at a minimum.
Yeah.
At a respectable level.
Mm-hmm.
And there might still be some publication that talks a little shit, but they're going to have to eventually see that person too.
Yeah.
So it was very kept at a respectable level. And there was, there's ways to criticize things. I'm not saying there's nothing to criticize.
Yeah.
There always is, but in a critical way. Like in a, that movie was great. It could have used a couple less explosions.
Right.
Not, man, this is the worst thing I've seen.
Right. You can criticize pieces of something without throwing the entire thing in the toilet.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
like we do WWE.
Yeah.
We don't
Exactly.
we don't throw the whole thing in the toilet.
Just half of it.
Yeah. What we can fit. They throw most of themselves.
Yes, they do.
All right.
So we're also going to have an announcement from Cody Rhodes about Double or Nothing, which I assume will be a match against Mr. Go-Go.
Mr. Go-Go.
After what happened.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound professional at all.
No, it doesn't. I'd like to announce my match. I'm with this Mr. Go-Go.
That sounds like a clown name.
It does. Mr. Go-Go.
Anyway.
I'm going to name something that. All right.
The matches that have been announced is Pac versus Orange Cassidy to see who faces Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing.
That's going to be a great match. And I really want to see Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega on a main event just to see what
happened.
Yeah.
We need to see that match.
I'm curious.
It's morbid curiosity.
I am curious.
We'll also have SCU facing the Young Bucks at last for the AEW Tag Team Championships.
So what happens? Does SCU go over, win the belts, and keep going? Because I think their little pack can end if they win the belts. It was just that they had to win the belts.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to win.
But they lose, and, you continue the heat, and they break up.
I don't know where they go from after breaking up as a team, but maybe they decide that they have done so well this year that they're actually not going to break up.
The best thing would be some kind of heel turn.
They join.
From one of them.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. And that would be the best thing.
That'd be terrible.
Well, I mean,
sad,
it would but it would give you a mid-card feud.
Yes, it would.
Between the two of them. So anyway. And
then we're gonna see Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley for the IWGP United States Championship.
Yuji Nagata versus Jon Moxley
on AEW
IWGP United States Championship. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I mean, listen, that's like taking the Forbidden Door and just really, I mean, you're ripping it wide open. You know what I mean? That's
right.
That's some, buddy. That's some chatterbait stuff. That's some true Forbidden Door right there. And it's at first everybody that listens to the show knows that I was a bit critical.
A little bit.
But I was imagining having Moxley have to fly away.
Uh-huh.
And then wait a couple weeks, and then have this on a big dome show.
Right.
And I was like, come on, But color me impressed. The promos have been fantastic.
They have been.
And it's really got me interested in it. They did their deal on Strong, and I mean, it's really
they suddenly created a story.
They've built it up. It's cool, and it's happening on Dynamite. I mean, sometimes the Forbidden Door is really awesome like that because you're getting that IWGP title on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Which makes it a big deal. Sometimes the Forbidden Door is Finn Juice on TNA. And, that's not quite as forbidden, is it? I mean, that's kind of like, it's like you're dating a porn star. She's like...
The doors are always slightly open.
Yeah, it's like... Don't you want my forbidden? No. It's not.
You kind of give it to everyone.
It's not that forbidden, is it? I mean, I know by name it's forbidden, but it's not that forbidden.
Not particularly forbidden, is
No, I mean, are we related? I mean, can you work with me here? Is there anything? Okay. Yeah, so this is a proper
Yes.
This is a proper forbidden door.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure Eugene Agata like smacked some teeth out of John Moxley's mouth on
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was some good stuff. So
You weren't already pumped enough.
yeah, this is gonna be. I mean, I want to see Shingo and John, but I mean,
Well, hopefully that happens.
yeah,
Why would you put that in my head? Now I'm just gonna be thinking about that
it'd be great.
until it happens.
It'd be so good.
They kill each
Can
other.
you imagine Shingo and Dynamite?
He could just stay there. He could
No,
just come and stay.
what are you doing? What are you doing? See, you're the problem.
I'm sorry.
You're why we can't open that goddamn door.
He can't. No, he's not gonna stay forever.
Because you do
He
things.
just
like
wrestle a few people and then go back.
Yeah, no, you got to keep it special.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I'm
If
sorry.
you do it all the time, it's not special anymore. Got to work for that. All right.
Oh, and in what I can only assume is going to be the main event, we have Miro versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship.
So, Darby, you've been a great champ. You've been a nice lad. We've
enjoyed it.
I've even enjoyed seeing you live. You know, we
Yes.
watched you get killed by Walter, and that was Darby, right? Yeah, it was.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that was up north.
I
But
watched him be killed by a few people.
he likes big men.
Yeah.
He's taken on some big men, and the story is he's been overcoming the odds.
Yes.
And they've already started putting that doubt out there. Like, I can't believe he's doing it every week, you know. So he's actually turned this into a hell of a run because it started off without that many defenses. Because if you remember, it was just him and Dad in the ring every week.
Being hoodlums.
For weeks and 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 weeks.
And then we had an amazing street fight.
Yes. And that turned into nonstop defenses.
Yes, thank God.
But be careful what you ask for, okay? Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you make yourself out to be.
Not only has Miro been, listen, when he beat up Kip, again, little pieces of his soul will forever be smeared in that locker.
Yeah.
There's
My soul is there too.
there's like work beating the fuck out of somebody. And then there's what happened with that.
That's the crazy kind of beat someone up.
I don't know if you cats have ever seen Miro live. He's one of those guys you can't appreciate unless you see him live.
Right.
And I was at his debut for AEW down in Jacksonville. So I was there live when he debuted. And I got to tell you, the sumbitch is gigantic. I mean, he is just, it's not even height or it's girth.
Yeah.
It's presence.
Yes.
And I don't
He
care.
just fills up the room.
I don't care if he's wearing a cardigan and shiny Buckley shoes. There's still something about him that's like, that guy might murder me. You know, there's just something in his eyes that that guy might murder me.
Then he attempts to and hugs you afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I love the abuser that's just like, oh, it's okay. They're going to hear us. Shh.
Oh, God.
You see what you made me do? I love you so much. I love
Poor
you so
Kip.
much. So, yes, we have this, but not only that. Miro gave one of my favorite promos of the entire year.
Yeah.
Just for this.
He's just scary all the time.
I mean, what was the line? In 7 days, the world will find out what happens when the man who doesn't mind dying meets the man who doesn't mind killing him. You know,
Poetry.
If that's not a tattoo on someone's back, I don't know what is. That, my friends, popped me.
Yeah.
And man, it's going to be good.
It is. And I'm worried for Darby because obviously he got thrown down the stairs last week.
Well, yeah, that's a good reason though. And so he's already injured going into it, so he gets to keep a little shine because of that.
And there's a forfeit clause in the contract, but Miro doesn't care. He's like, it doesn't matter if you're hurt or not.
Darby's not going to forfeit.
It's going to end up the same way regardless. I'm still going to kill you.
He's not going to forfeit anyway. It's gonna be good. And, you know, I think what'd be good is if he keeps beating on him and beating on him and beating on him and Kip makes the save and
oh man,
covers him up and just like, what the fuck are you doing? And
I won't let you do this. And I think we got a ways to go before we get that payoff.
yeah, I don't know. It's gonna have to be a beatdown, strong victory, win, and you get this massive champ.
Yeah.
Who's
unbeatable.
My God, and think about this: if we get a Miro match weekly, of him, you know, defending that belt,
yeah, that
could be some good stuff.
That would be amazing.
I mean,
I'd love to see him every week.
Yeah, some really good stuff. So
even if it's just a few minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, well, it's just gonna be a few minutes. I mean, we're not gonna. We're not talking gotch here. I mean, it's going to be a few minutes. So he's going to be sucking in that Jacksonville weather. So, yeah. So double or nothing. What's coming up on that?
Well, we've only had 2 match announcements so far. The first being Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida for the women's title.
Britt Baker all the way.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's time.
It's her time.
It's time. And, of course, Kenny Omega versus the winner of Pac versus Orange Cassidy.
Either way, you win.
Yeah.
We know Pac and Omega's great. It's a great story there because Pac has beat Omega.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it not being Orange Cassidy after all the crap that went down.
It's going to be Orange Cassidy. It's going to be Orange
now
Cassidy.
Now I need to see it. They've got me invested.
It really is watching a car wreck. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen.
I know.
But they'll turn it into something.
It'll be so good.
Something great. But, you know. I don't know. Pretty exciting stuff. And I think we were able to somehow cover all that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so listen, normally we sound a little sexier because it's, you know, it's all mixed up just right and all that good stuff. Yeah. So we had to bring it like this. We were live. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you appreciated it because, well, you just need to. Mm-hmm. And speaking of appreciating it, go to patreon.com/BT Wrestling Pod. You know, we appreciate the support and could use every bit of it to pay off all this equipment. No, it's some good stuff. We're going to try to bring you some extra stuff and, you know, some good stuff and some fun stuff. And that's enough saying stuffy stuff. But also go to blindtagwrestling.com. This is the big one, okay? Meant to talk about this a whole lot first, but we just didn't. blindtagwrestling.com is your destination for all the latest and greatest news in the world of professional wrestling. All the stuff we talk about here and more. Mistress Raja over here keeps up with it gloriously. She is the web mistress.
Yes.
And also, if you go to our Facebook, you're going to get most of those stories that get shared directly there. Mm-hmm. And what we need, you know, if you can help us out, and that would be liking the Facebook. That would be, you know, joining us on Twitter. To be going to the website and sharing that out.
Yes.
You know, just share it. When you see a story there, share the story. And it really helps us out every time you do that stuff. You know, follow us on YouTube, all the good stuff. So we really appreciate every bit of it. But for the lovely and mysterious Raja, my name's John Hawkins, and so long from the Blind Tag Wrestling Podcast.
You'll never see it coming.